so many infections. We have kina COVID. So when you are determining who to give kiss of life, again it depends. It should be within your family circle. Ama mashemeji. Do you give mashemeji kiss of life? Should be very important. Should be within your family. Probably your bae, your kids, but it depends with how you perceive it. It's all about life saving. So I'm saying I will count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 28, 29, 30. So I will open the airway. I'll give 2 breaths. So I will continue the same. 8, 9, 10, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. I will open the airway and I give 2 breaths. So you continue doing that until help arrives. So you cannot terminate CPR. The moment you initiate, you cannot terminate. And we usually say you'd rather have a bad CPR rather than none. So hata kama unaona kama haujui, ile yenye unajua kidogo ndio tunataka. Remember, the heart is not working that time. So what you need to do is to make sure that you keep on compressing. It's like now you are the pump. So the moment you stop, you are sending these guys to hell. So you have to do it until help arrives, or probably when you are too tired. Are you together to that point? So what about babies? Is there any question on adults? Any question? Aha, he's asking a good question. Why the ears? When you want to pinch, why the ears? Who can tell us? Do you have first aiders here? Who can tell us something about ears? Where to pinch? Because ears are sensitive. When someone is trying to hold or to touch your ears, they are usually very sensitive. And again, the earlobe is somehow painful. When someone is asleep, you try to touch the ears, they will wake up. But again, we've said it's not limited to ears, because our ladies have earrings. So what will happen? Do you start removing them on the scene? Remember, you have less than 10 minutes. If it exceeds the 10 minutes, that person will automatically die. That's a death sentence. So if they have earlobes, you don't have to remove. You can use the ear bros. These ones. What about if they still have, hizi za hapa zinaitwa aje? Si earrings.
Ya kupaka.
Pia za kupaka na kuna zenye zimedunga hapa. So if they equally have them, you don't have to remove. Unaenda kwa chest and then you rub the sternum. Where is the sternum? Where we usually talk about the cleavage, for our ladies. Nikiongea kwa ladies more sensitive than men. Sisi yetu inakuwa kifua ni kifua. So you rub here. That's when you want to stimulate. You are inflicting pain. Kuna swali lingine?
Niko na maswali.
Yes.
Swali ya kwanza. What are the chances ya kwamba utakufa ukizimia karibu na mwanaume? Kwa sababu mwanaume anasema siwezi kiss mwanaume. What are the chances that you'll die?
It depends, you see, if your motive is all about saving life, we usually say life is why. We are members of the American Heart Association. Sisi ni Waamerikani kwa kufunza. Na tunasema life is why. The reason that's why you are giving the kiss, it's not because it's just a kiss. It's a kiss of life. It's called kiss of life. And the reason that's why, probably if you you find yourself probably between ladies, you can survive. The rates of survival are high because they are very passionate. Yeah, they like life.
How do you encourage our men that if you're rescuing your brother, you're not kissing your brother, you're giving them life?
Good. It's not a must that you give a kiss. If you are not very sure about the medical conditions and the different diseases that we have, you can do CPR alone. Compress on the chest, and we have had high chances of survival. We have seen people who have gotten CPR, someone getting a CPR for 45 minutes, they get to the hospital, and then they are saved. But basically that is encircled. We have a full class first aid. It usually takes 3 days where we have to learn about the CPR as a full course.
All right. How long should a CPR take?
That's a good question. We usually say CPR should take as long as you are there. Unless we have someone to certify that person is not yet dead. Until a doctor who should certify comes. So you should continue CPR until someone comes. So that's why I usually say you have to shout for help. And at least, should it happen within like this place, God forbid, shout for help. Because you cannot do CPR alone for a minute, 2 minutes. It is tiresome. You will have to have someone to assist you. That's why we are saying shout for help. Now, by the way, our to aboda to see your despise, they are usually of help. Should they be there, kuonyesha kufanya CPR, as I've said that it's better to have a bad CPR rather than none. Hiyo kidogo yenye utafanyiwa kufinya tu kifua, it is very enough, provided we are headed to the hospital. So you can do CPR up to like as long as you are there, because we don't have the power to certify death. So that means you can do CPR as long as you are there.
Okay. What is the difference between dead and unconscious?
We're talking about death and we have unconsciousness. So death, it's when it has been certified that someone is dead. And in that, I mean, we have certified that there is no pulse and there are no heartbeats and there is no breathing activities. Then the doctor will come and beating.
Okay.
In layman.
All right. So, so the art is at the center. So
Yes.
which one do you use to love? Ile nye unasikianga ukipenda mtu inapiga.
The one that you used to love is upstairs here. Moyo wa kupenda huko kwa kichwa. Huyu unapiga damu. Yes.
Sawa sawa.
That's a good question.
Is CPR to stimulate the heart or for oxygen to go to the brain?
That's a good question. The heart and brain are brothers and sisters. For you to have a working heart, the brain equally will have to work. It's the other way around. So, for your heart to work, it has to work with the brain. And that's why we say that you can have a working heart but a dead brain. Meaning, the heart is working but the brain is dead. So when we are doing CPR, the reason as to why we are doing CPR, the heart has stopped. So you are now doing it mechanically. You are pumping blood to the brain so that the brain cells does not die. So if they die, the heart will beat but haitakuwa na kazi. So the heart, it's like basically is to pump to the brain for brain cells to live. So when we are doing CPR, it's like we are managing the brain. In other words, if we stop, the brain will tend to die automatically. So the brain and the heart works together. Yes.
That's a very good question, because then it describes what CPR is.
Yes.
It's a process that helps you pump blood into the brain.
Exactly.
Keep it alive. Right?
Exactly. Especially when the heart has stopped, you're doing it now mechanically. Okay. So we continue now.
Yes.
So what about babies? They usually arrest easily. I know tunakuanga na soft spot kwa watoto. they can arrest. And by the way, they usually arrest very easily. But the arrest is usually attributed by respiratory effects, if I can say. If they have respiratory issues or problems, the heart will tend to stop easily. So if probably you have a baby at home and they are having respiratory problems, the next thing that can happen, they will arrest. And they usually die very easily, unlike adults who have, at least they have a reserve. So should you suspect that the baby is not breathing, or you suspect that the baby is struggling to breathe, they are headed to an arrest, by the way. So before we get there, or if they arrest, you have a role to play. But again, to resuscitate them back is usually very easy and simple, simpler than adults. So the thing you have to do, if it's your baby, probably you might not be in a position to resuscitate. In most cases, hata mtoto akiconverse yu analetewa na jirani. So in case umeletewa, the baby is not breathing, nothing, they are unresponsive, the easiest way you can manage the baby, you can equally do CPR on babies, but having in mind that it is usually attributed or contributed by respiratory failures, that probably they are not breathing well. It will lead to cardiac arrest. So how do you resuscitate babies? This is called encircling. You encircle like this, and then using your thumbs, the two, you compress the center. This time you can use the nipple line. Can we use nipple line on adults? Why? Can we use nipple line on adults? These are babies. We are saying you can use a nipple line. The nipple line is here. What about adults? Having a lady 65 years. Yeah? Yeah, 65. The nipple line probably might be here. Eh? Yeah. For babies, we can use the nipple line. Eh? Because they are fixed. Bado ziko pale saa sita. So, hapa katikati ndio una compress. So you compress the same 30 compressions. So this is one way of encircling. Eh? Again, you can use your two fingers on the same position. So how do you compress? Do not poke the baby with your kucha. So do not poke the baby with nails. So we are using the two fingers. Make sure you are on a firm surface. So you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 28, 29, 30, and then you give the two breaths. So when you are giving the breaths, you have to cover both the nose and the mouth. So you are giving two breaths, 1, and then you continue with the same 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The best thing with babies, you can do it as long as probably you are standing or you are moving, you are walking to the hospital, because you can manage their weight. Okay? Yes. Do you have any question on babies? Questions? Remember, I've said that they can arrest easily due to respiratory distress. So, kama mtoto akona anashindwa kupumua, the next thing that will happen, the probable thing that will happen, they will arrest. Now, arrest, you have to do CPR. Are we together to that point?
Yes.
Any question?
On babies, is there any other option apart from CPR?
Yes.
He's saying in babies, is there any other option apart from CPR? Is there any other option in babies apart from CPR?
For CPR, it remains the same. Nothing much you can do. Remember, the heart has to big is that kiss. It's basically normal, you picking normal breathing air, and then you blow on the baby, but do not blow excessively. Remember, their lungs are very fragile. Eh? You might tear the